welcome back to my channel. So if you've been around for a while, you will probably have heard me talk a lot about the two very special rats that I was planning on adopting. I think I agreed to have them back in January time, so I've been waiting to have them this whole time, but they are finally home with me and I'm finally able to make a video to introduce them to you guys. So if you don't know, this year I did graduate with a bachelor's degree in zoology, and a big part of that degree was actually my dissertation, which I did on rats, and I studied the social interactions and social behaviours of rats, which basically meant me sitting down for quite a substantial amount of time and just observing their interactions with each other. Having to sit in a room with that many rats, I quickly fell in love with all of the rats in there, but two rats in particular. Now these rats eventually were going to be looking for homes. They were living in really large groups of about 6 or 7 rats in really big cages with lots of enrichment. But I wasn't able to take the entire group of rats, as I imagine a lot of people probably couldn't, because I did already have existing rats at the time that I would be needing to introduce them to, and I just couldn't handle taking that many rats, so I did decide to narrow it down and adopt 2 of the rats. So the 2 rats that I did pick, I made sure that they had a really close bond with each other, but also that I thought they would be really fitting to fit with my 2 current boys, and that I did think that they would get along really well with them. So these rats all were going to be able to go home to retirement homes, but they all had really important jobs to do first, which is why it's been so long since I announced that I was going to be having them, for me to actually bring them home. So the 2 rats that I have adopted are very special in the sense that they are scent detection rats. This just means they are trained using positive reward-based methods to pick out certain scents, and then they are tested using a detection test to see what they've learned. So basically all the work that they have done has contributed towards a better understanding of animals in scent detection roles, so animals that are used for drug detection, explosion detection, things like that. So my 2 boys are very, very clever. Rats in general are highly intelligent and can be trained to do a number of things. An example of this is scent detection rats that are used in Cambodia. These are called hero rats, and they're used to detect landmines and tuberculosis, but I will be talking more about that at the end of the video, so stick around until the end to learn more about those. So these are my 2 boys. They're both about 1.5 years old, and they are such good boys. They really like being held and they're super friendly, so I am in love with them already. Something that I love about both of them is that they both have blazes. This is my absolute favourite feature in rats. And rats with blazes are quite hard to come by in the UK, so I'm literally the happiest person right now because I've wanted a rat with a blaze ever since I knew that I wanted rats, so to have 2 of them is such a good feeling right now. So something that is quite unique about both of them is that both of them have shorter tails than most rats. This is because they were living with a rat in their old home, and one day they came in and just found that they had bitten off the tail tips of all the other rats in the cages, and this one actually had to have his tail amputated a little bit more than the others. As you can see with this one, his tail is still pretty long, but this one had to have his tail amputated quite short, so their tails are a little bit shorter than most rats, but that's okay. It doesn't really affect them in any other way. They still have quite good balance, so they're really not fazed by having their tails a little bit shorter than most rats, and I just think it's quite a unique feature, and I think it's quite cute. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that in case you're wondering why their tails look a little bit different than some rats. That's just because another rat bit the end of their tails off. So this is Badger. He is a top-eared variegated rex, and he is super, super soft. He's one of the softest rats that I think I've ever met, and he is just an absolute sweetheart. He just wants to sit and cuddle with me all day. His personality reminds me a little bit of Rolo, which is really nice to have that again in a rat. It's a bit of a change from having really, really hyperactive boys, so I am obsessed with him. He's super, super sweet. And just to show you his tail again, you can see that it is a lot shorter than most rats' tail, and it is really rounded on the end, which I just think makes him even cuter. So this is Moose. In his old home, his name used to be Edison, and he's also a top-eared variegated rat. I'm not too sure on his colouring, but I think he is dove and white. It's really hard to tell, but he does actually have ruby eyes. They're kind of like a really dark ruby, so it's not always obvious unless it's in certain lighting. He also does have a blaze, but it is just a little bit more off-centered than Badger's, but he is super cute and he's really soft. He is just a standard furred rat and not a rex like the other one, but he's still super, super soft. And where are you going? He's also a lot lighter and smaller than my other rats, which is really weird. Getting used to holding him compared to them is kind of weird, but he's just genetically a lot smaller than my 2 current boys, so it's going to be interesting to see how they get along. So these boys have been settling in really, really well. They're completely unfazed by everything and still really confident around me and just around being in a new environment, which is really good to see. I don't know if they remember me from all the time that I have spent with them because it's been a while since I last saw them, but I'm hoping that my introductions with them and my two current boys, Sunday and Sprout, go really well and that they can live happily together. I will be making another video after this one documenting me introducing them, so look forward to seeing that soon. But even if that does not go to plan and they really don't get along and it's impossible to house them together, it won't be a problem because I can just split my large cage into two separate cages to have them live in two separate groups. But fingers crossed that the introductions go really well and that they can live happily together. But I am just really glad to have them home with me and be able to show them to you guys. I've loved them for so long and now I'm really glad that I get to share them with you and that you guys can love them too. Even though this is technically their retirement home, I would really love to continue training them using similar methods just to prevent them from getting bored, so maybe I'll make a video on that sometime in the future. But if you want to see more of them in between videos, definitely follow their Instagram. I'll leave it on screen here and also link down in the description below. So as I mentioned before, there are rats out there that are trained to do very specific jobs. You may have heard of a non-profit organisation called APOPO. These are an organisation that train giant African pouch rats or Gambian pouch rats to detect landmines and tuberculosis and ultimately save lives. Unfortunately, each year millions of people die from tuberculosis because they haven't been diagnosed and treated. The usual method of testing for TB is quite slow, but by using these hero rats and training them using positive reward-based methods, they can quickly sniff out the samples from patients which have TB. A hero rat can check 100 samples in just 20 minutes, which would take someone working in a lab 4 days to do. This allows patients to be tested for TB and more importantly treated faster, which I think is amazing. But APOPO have contacted me and asked me to talk specifically about the use of hero rats in detecting landmines. Landmines are still present in many countries and cause a lot of tragic accidents. Using metal detectors to find landmines is dangerous and slow, but hero rats are light enough that they don't set off the landmines and have been trained to smell and locate them by scratching above where the landmine is and being rewarded with a treat. A hero rat is able to clear 200 square feet of land in just an hour, which would take someone with a metal detector up to 50 hours, which again I think is really impressive. So these rats are doing amazing work and saving lives by ridding the world of these developmental barriers. APOPO has asked me to share their giving campaign with you, which I will leave linked down in the description if you're interested in donating towards their cause. I'll also leave all their social medias and places where you can find out more information if you want to find out more about the amazing work that they're doing with their rats, linked down in the description below. So that's it for today's video, guys. I really just wanted to share with you the 2 new rats that I've adopted and share a little bit more about scent detection rats in general. Hope you're looking forward to seeing more of these boys and wish me luck because I'm about to introduce them to my 2 current boys very soon, so I'm really hoping that goes well. I will have a video up on that documenting the whole process, good and bad, so wish us luck and we'll see you in our next video. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to see any future animal related videos from us and we'll see you in our next video. Bye! Where are you going?